Good day to everyone, and thank you for the invitation to participate at this international gathering dedicated to astrology and its many cultural traditions. My name is Natalia Rau, and I am a professional astrologer accredited in Romania and a certified NLP practitioner. For more than 20 years, I have been exploring astrology not only as an ancient cosmological tradition, but also as a symbolic language that can help us understand the human psyche, personal development, and the deeper patterns that shape our lives. In recent years, I have noticed something important in my consultations. People rarely come to the astrologer only to ask what will happen. More often, they come with a quieter, inward, deeper question: why does my life repeat the same certain themes? Why do I react in the same way? Why do I meet the same story in different forms? And this is where my perspective has gradually shifted. I increasingly see astrology not as a rigid predictive system, but I see it as an integrative language, one that can be meaningfully applied alongside modern psychology and coaching. From this angle, the birth chart becomes more than a tool for forecasting. It becomes a reflective space, a symbolic mirror where inner dynamics, unconsciousness scripts, and personal choices can be observed with more clarity and compassion. This raises two questions that I found both simple and profound. Can the movements of the sky help us understand the deeper patterns of a human psyche? And could the birth chart serve not as a or only as a prediction of fate, but as a symbolic map that supports individuals in navigating their psychological and personal evolution? And I would like to continue with not a theory, but with a moment. Many years ago, early in my professional practice, a woman came to my consultation. She sat down quietly and said something very simple. She said, I feel as if my life is repeating the same story again and again, and I don't understand why. She was not asking about future. She was not asking about luck or success. She was asking a deeper question. Why does my life follow certain patterns? As we began to explore her natal chart, something fascinating appeared. Certain planetary dynamics in her chart described the recurring tension between independence and emotional attachment, a theme that had shaped many of her relationships. When she saw this pattern reflected symbolically in the chart, she paused for a moment and said something that I have never forgotten. For the first time, I feel that someone has described my inner world, she said. That moment reminded me of something essential about astrology. People rarely come to astrology simply to know what will happen. More often, they come because they want to search for meaning. They want to understand their own story. And this is why I increasingly see astrology not only as a predictive system, but also as a symbolic language of the psyche. If the life of a human being were a book, when would the first page of that book be written? Most people would probably say in childhood. But astrology suggests something intriguing. It suggests that the first page of our psychological biography might already exist at the moment of the birth, at the moment when the human being takes their first breath. The sky forms a unique configuration, a celestial pattern that astrology calls the natal chart. This natal chart is not a script that determines destiny. It is something more subtle. It's a symbolic map of potential. Each planetary archetype reflects a dimension of human experience. The sun represents identity, the central impulse that drives each individual to become themselves. The moon reflects emotional memory, the instinctive patterns through which we seek security and belonging. Mercury symbolizes perception and communication, the way we interpret reality. Venus reveals how we relate, how we value, and how we experience harmony. Mars represents action, the energy that allows us to move forward and shape our path. But the chart also contains deeper archetypal forces. Saturn, for example, represents the teacher of time. Many people notice that the important turning points in life occur around certain cycles, moments when life asks us to mature, to take responsibility, to define who we are becoming. Pluto symbolizes transformation, moments when the old identity dissolves and something new begins to emerge. In this way, the natal chart resembles a psychological landscape or even a dramatic story in which different archetypal forces interact. We could imagine the planets as characters with the inner narrative. For instance, the sun as the hero seeking identity, the moon as the inner child, Mercury as the storyteller, Venus as the seeker of love, Mars as the warrior, Saturn as the teacher, Uranus as the rebel, Neptune as the dreamer, and Pluto as the transformer. Together, these characters create the architecture of inner world. Let me share another brief example. A young man once came to see me during a difficult period of his life. He has just left a stable career path and felt completely lost. I feel as if something I built is collapsing, he said. When we looked at this chart, we saw a powerful Pluto transit activating his natal sun. In psychological terms, this was a period of profound transformation, a moment when previous identity structure could not longer exist, sustain his deeper aspiration. Instead of seeing this period as a failure, he began to understand it as a transition, a moment when one chapter of his life was ending so that the other could begin. Astrology, in this case, did not predict an event. It offered a symbolic language through which experience become meaningful. And this is where the role of the astrologer becomes important. The astrologer is not a prophet. The astrologer is a translator, someone who helps individuals read the symbolic language of their own life story. Because symbols have a remarkable power. They allow us to see patterns that would otherwise remain invisible. In modern practice, astrology can therefore become integrated with psychology, coaching, and reflective dialogue. It becomes a mirror in which individuals explore their motivation, their conflicts, and their possibilities. But there is another important distinction. Astrology is not a rigid system that dictates destiny. Instead, it offers something more flexible, a map. And a map is not the same as a script. A script tells us exactly what will happen. A map simply shows us the landscape. It helps us to understand where we are, what challenges might appear along the way, and which direction might be possible. Perhaps this is why astrology continues to exist after thousands of years, not because it predicts the future with certainty, but because it offers a symbolic language through which human beings can understand their own journey. And I would like to leave you with one final thought. For thousands of years, human beings have looked up at the night sky, not only to measure time, not only to navigate oceans, but to ask a deeper question. What is my place in this vast universe? Astrology does not give us a definite answer to that question, but it offers something perhaps even more valuable. It invites us to reflect on our own story, because somewhere between the movements of the planets and the unfolding of our human life, there exists a mysterious dialogue, a dialogue between the sky and the human soul. Thank you.